And welcome, folks, to the talk show, Let the Truth Be Told. I'm your host, Pastor David. And, folks, we got a great conversation today. We're going to be discussing Mayor Brandon Johnson going off to Washington, D.C. to explain to the American people why he is a sanctuary city, why he continued to aid and abet illegal aliens. But that's what we're going to find out at the show. Y'all, come on in. Let the truth be told. Let the truth be told. I'd rather for you to hurt me with the truth than comfort me with a lie. Folks, welcome. Thank you. To the talk show, Let the Truth Be Told. I'm your host, Pastor David. First, let me give all praises to God and my Lord and Savior, Yahshua of Nazareth. And I want to welcome everybody to the show. Folks, I want to say this. As we continue to evolve into the new administration, we need to pay particularly close attention to the difference in these two administrations. Since President Trump been in for the last 6 weeks, he had made leaps and bounds regarding reclaiming America, because that's what he has had to do. Under the leadership of Barack Obama for 8 years, and the last 4 years of the Barack Obama administration, which was supposedly led by Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, we saw this woke generation blow into America and just shatter all the normal ways of living. We've seen everything that have happened to the day that Donald Trump is fixing right now. And to the American people and patriots across this country, as we are getting prepared to be re-normalized, that's what I want to say. See, you would think that the Democrats are trying to tell the American people, after we've seen for ourselves this woke agenda and trillions of dollars being stolen, waste, fraud, and abuse, and now they want to tell you that the direction that we're going in is wrong. So in saying that, I want to get my colleague in today. Hey, Doc, how's it going?
It's going well. How's everybody doing?
Good. Listen, how about you to expound on your thoughts about Donald Trump's first 6 weeks in office?
Well, I think it's gone quite well. I think people are very overwhelmed because so much has happened. And at the same time, people are like, well, why aren't gas prices going down? Why aren't egg prices going down? Why isn't this happening? Why isn't that happening? We have to start first somewhere. Now, he did reset our energy. So now
Yes.
we are drilling more. So that means that gas prices will go down. He's also taken off the regulations for lumber. So that means housing prices are going to go down because now resources to build houses are going to
Mhm.
be less. So things are going to get there. I want to say in about, let's give him his 100 days. We haven't
Mhm.
gotten there yet. We're not even at, I want to say we're just about at 40 days. And then let's get through the first 100 days. And then in 6 months, let's really reassess where we are
Mhm.
as a country. Right now, we are in a very heightened state, I would say, of emergency or alert. That situation with Zelensky that we talked about the other day is
Mhm.
now it's rolling down the hill, and here's why: because the globalists are like, the honeypot is going to stop, the money is going to stop. You know, you always they stay in a constant threat of war to keep the money going. It's not
Yes.
to be at war; it's to keep the money going. Because they once they know the threat is gone, they're like, where's the defense contracts? Okay, nobody's
Mhm.
gonna spending money so anyone so people can kind of settle down or stay at bay. Zelensky, I'm telling you, somebody told him he could flex on Donald Trump and he messed up.
Well, you know what? And I want to thank the listeners for chiming in on the show. And let me make this clear to my listeners across the country. Go to our YouTube page and subscribe to the show. Also, go to, and that's Moments of Truth 9920. Go to our YouTube page and subscribe. Also, to our Rumble page, that's David Lowe 1057. Because, we're having such a problem with Facebook, with our numbers and how they continue to play games. Because on this show, we tell the truth no matter what. And we're going to bring you the truth about what's happening. And we also provide those receipts so that you can get a clear understanding of what's really going on around us. So I'm asking folks to go there to that, go to Moments of Truth 9920 and subscribe on our YouTube page, as well as Rumble, David Lowe 1057, and subscribe, because in the next few weeks, we'll be moving away from the platforms like uh, Facebook and some of the others who really violate our First Amendment rights. And we'll have our own channel. We'll have our own Roku channel. We'll be on Fire Sticks. I mean, we're going to be on several huge locations, Apple, you name it. So just bear with us. But yeah, we want to keep it going. I just wanted to throw it in there. But the reason why that we're having such a problem, especially here in Chicago, is because there is a lot of, and I want the politicians, y'all just keep watching the show. It's great. Keep watching it, because now you're finding yourself. A lot of the politicians now are looking at doing research. These young politicians are looking at doing research, and they're finding out what we're saying is true. And they're trying to back away from Brandon Johnson, because Mr. Johnson is already in D.C. Your thoughts, Doc?
Well, I'm looking forward to the conversations and the questions that he's going to be asked and how he's going to be asked these questions, because just like Georgia, Illinois has been put under a huge spotlight, especially in Chicago. And so, sometimes senators or different politicians or House members, they'll take that time to get their 5 minutes fame, so to speak, and they want to be the soundbite of the day. And it's going to be very interesting to see how the Democrats really justify what's been going on in Chicago, because it's been so harmful to the residents of Chicago. And it's going to be interesting, like I said, to just see how the questioning plays out of what's happened there.
Well, that's so true. We have a lot of colleagues, and like I always say, Chicago went 47% red for the national elections under President Trump. But as Chicagoans, we continue to challenge Brandon Johnson and his ludicrous ideas to continue to help people who are not even part of our country. I don't understand how that he can stand up to the American people, and he has blown. Let me say this to you, to the people of Chicago. If you remember, maybe about 6 months ago, Brandon Johnson had a surplus of $1.7 billion left over from COVID. $1.7 billion. And I'm going to show you how these crooks continue to use those numbers and put them in different places to justify raising taxes on us here in Chicago. It was 2 weeks later after he had the $1.7 billion, because they had to make it public because it was governmental money. When they went to balance the budget, it came up $1.8 million in the deficit. So think about it, $1.7 billion you already got in the surplus from COVID. And then instead of taking that money and using it toward the deficit that you used because of the illegal aliens, then you take that money and it disappears. And now $1.6 billion is floating around somewhere. And it just appeared the other day. It appeared that in the state budget, Brandon Johnson is seeking another $850 million in loans, which is going to calculate up to about $4.2 billion after they get this payday loan to keep funding the illegal aliens. Your thought,
Wow.
Doc.
That's just, it's disgusting. It truly is. At this juncture, when it's already been stated who should still be in this country and who shouldn't,
Yes.
Period. Look, Joe Biden had to actually parole individuals. Why would you parole someone if they were here legally? And that's because they're
Yes.
not. And that can be completely reversed and justified by the state. Now, if Illinois continues on this route, Pam Bondi has already filed suit
Yes.
against the state of Illinois. If they truly want to continue, then they really want to end up in jail. And I'm kind of glad that it's happening this way because there's so much corruption that's happening in Illinois. Maybe this is a good egg cracking point, so to speak, to just get everything
It really
out.
is. And so the citizens here have been continued to stand up in the gap. You know, P. Ray, Chicago Red, Flip Chicago Red. All of us was very beneficial in being a collaborator to make sure that we did change Chicago Red. But we're also going to have to come together in the next election cycles, because I'm asking some of them to run for office, run for the alderman spots, because there is no way here in Chicago, the citizens of Chicago should allow any of the aldermen to stay in office. Every alderman that has voted with Brandon Johnson to pass the budget, to illegally continue to fund the illegal migrants, to sit back and watch our crime soar. And it's not the Black community that's committing a lot of the crimes. It's most of the illegals here that they put in here until Tom Homan came in and started to make a difference. So we, the people here in the state of Illinois, are prepared to make sure that Brandon Johnson be held accountable. But I want to play you a clip because I want the world to see what we think about Brandon Johnson here in Chicago. Doc?
Erupted at a city council meeting yesterday. They gave Mayor Brandon Johnson and Chicago Democrats an earful for prioritizing illegal immigrants over struggling Americans, and rooted for, listen to this, President-elect Trump.
So Brandon, you and all these Democratic mayors out here and governors, y'all talking about crashing out for these illegals, right? You all sit up there and said you will not allow Trump to come in here and get these illegals. Yeah, you can smile. We're in $1 billion deficit. And you spent half of our money, half of that on illegals. Trump, Tom Homan, make an example out this right here first. Please come here first, because you know what? We're going to help you. We want a forensic.
Ma'am, I would ask that you keep your, hold on a second, stop her time.
Our mayor is embarrassing us, y'all, around the world. And you all took the power back from him to say the city of Chicago is out of the business of funding illegals. We are out of the business of prioritizing non-American citizens on top of the American citizens who go out in this cold weather every day to make money to pay their taxes.
You so strong about protecting those aliens, but you won't do nothing for the U.S. citizens.
Here you are with another gritty property tax hike, trying to push the have-nots to house your precious illegal immigrants. You told Trump you ain't gonna blink? Well, we ain't either. You ain't above the law. And where you gonna run to when Trump pulls that Trump card out on you? I will make it my duty to try to get my gun to perform an Operation Great Lord 2.0 in Chicago and lock all of you crooked Democrats and judges up. And it's just like that.
Now, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm glad, just to see P. Ray there and Daniel Carter and others just speaking up on behalf of the citizens of Chicago, because nobody else is, unfortunately. And that's the sad part. There's so few people talking at these council meetings on behalf of the people. And this is where, I want to encourage everybody, just get off the couch. You see people fighting for your rights. Get off the couch and support them. And to your point, yes, people need to run for alderman, but guess what? People need support from the community in order to run for office. Very difficult to be a candidate. I've been one, so I can speak from experience. You need the support of the community to push you over the line.
Yeah, and you're so correct. That's why I've already started an exploratory committee into my run for mayor. And a lot of people think that, well, it's sort of early. No, it's not, because if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Exactly. So we've already started looking at everything that we need to be looking at this particular time. And it's not going to be hard anybody could beat Brandon Johnson from this point, even a dog catcher, because all you have to do is have common sense. And, and that's why I'm telling a lot of the young people today, they can come aboard with us. We can run a ticket, and we need to take at least 25 or 30 alderman seats in this mayor's race and for these aldermen, because once we're able to do that, then we're able to get things passed in the city council. We'll be able to vote on things in a unanimous way to rebuild the Black community and uplift all the other communities, because I think right now there's not any common sense being made. And I know for a fact that Chicago is the city of broad shoulders, and we're gonna come back once that we get these clowns out of here who continue to disrespect federal law. Now, Chicago. What has happened is, now that we have Brandon Johnson in Washington, D.C., you guys better find the channels where they're going to be at, because I'm telling you, you need to watch this bloodbath that Brandon Johnson is going to have to endure, because, and the other mayors as well, they're going to have to endure, because now they got to explain why they was all over the news talking about JB. Where you at, JB? JB Pritzker was on the news talking about, well, if Trump tries to push me, I'm a warrior. I'm a happy warrior, but I'm still a warrior. Because he want to fight for all the illegals and the woke. That's what he's fighting for. And so now here we are. These things are unfolding. Tom Homan has come in. He is making the illegals are leaving town by themselves because they know that they can be deported. Not just the illegals that's been here for 3 or 4 years, but they're finding the illegals who've been here over 20 years. Yeah. And so they're getting everybody, so nobody's safe. But it's a shame that here in Chicago, Doc, that you might want to check your mic. It's a shame here in Chicago that we still have people sleeping under the viaduct here in Chicago. And I was in prayer, and I was talking to some of the other parishioners that I know about how we need to take things out. And what we usually do in springtime, we give out a lot of food, clothes. We want to do that again this year. But it's a shame that we've allowed and paid this invasion and the illegals to live in the best hotels, and we gave them money, and we still got our people living out on the streets. And so I want the people here in Chicago to understand one thing. In order to make the change, you have to be the change.
Right.
In order to make the change, you have to be the change. And to Black Americans here in Chicago, my fellow citizens, we see what has happened with J.B. Pritzker and Brandon Johnson. As citizens and Americans, We can no longer allow them to run our government, run our tax dollars, because they've already abused our kindness and they've come against the citizens in this state. So here's why Brandon Johnson is sitting up in Washington, D.C. Check this out, Doc.
Trump and his administration, Tom Homan, people at the Department of Homeland Security, they're the ones that are threatening people, again, who are law-abiding, who are often the anchors of their communities, who are paying taxes in this country. They're the ones who are threatening people. We're just standing up for people who live in our state and in our city.
Governor, real quick, the amount of money that you've spent on harboring illegals over the last 4 years and protecting them now, and after Mayor Johnson's email that just went out yesterday saying they're going to spend more money on protecting illegals at the expense of the American citizens, in particular the West Side and the South Side. We've got representatives here, we've got Bob Israel here. Why not invest that money there? And then the second question is, are you prepared to be arrested if you don't follow President Trump's orders?
I'm going to answer your question.
This is for the mayor as well.
The money we spend in the state of Illinois is about protecting the residents of the state of Illinois.
The citizens.
That is what it is about.
The citizens.
We will stand up for anybody who is standing up for the law. We follow the law in the state of Illinois. I'm very concerned that Donald Trump and the federal government is not going to be following the law. Indeed, they have proposed getting rid of birthright citizenship.
Good.
For many families, imagine, we all ought to stand up for the Constitution. This president does not.
Largo and the Venezuelans. Why don't you collaborate with ICE, with the Trent Largo and the Venezuelans?
We have given very clear instructions to our sister agencies in all of our city departments that they should and will and are expected to uphold our welcoming city ordinance. We are not going to interfere, but we're certainly not going to cooperate with that type of abhorrent behavior. I'm going to speak to our immigrant population as well as
legal or
the
illegal?
entire city of Chicago. The city of Chicago and the state of Illinois, we are a welcoming city and we are a sanctuary city. We are a sanctuary and welcoming state. That has not changed because of who won the election. And that's not going to change. Any of the measures that the president is looking to execute against working people in the city of Chicago, we will defend our city. It's just that simple. If he's serious about making America a place where every single individual can have an opportunity, then he should use his authority to work with the city of Chicago to build more affordable homes. He has the ability to help invest in building more economic opportunity. We are going to defend the interests of working people, and we're very proud to do that. Thank you all.
What about the illegals that are victimizing the citizens? Mayor Johnson, what about the illegals that are victimizing America? Excuse me, sir.
Doc, now.
It's just bad.
Now listen to this. This was after the election. And to the people of Chicago, I have to keep reminding you and showing these receipts because Brandon Johnson has no idea of what he's doing. And not only that, he has been programmed to protect the illegals. He wants the people of Chicago to think that we should be welcoming these people and they paying them to. Doc, your thoughts on this clown?
Well, Brandon Johnson is unfortunately one of the mayors under the consortium of the United Nations. Now, I want people to check this out. Go to the United Nations and just type in U.S. mayors. What their plan and goal is to get all U.S. mayors in alignment with the globalist agenda. That's what it is where you see these individuals that are illegal criminals flooding different cities. And they're flooding strategic cities because they know if they're in these particular cities and they get them as a voting bloc, they will always have control at the local level, which is where the federal dollars are actually disseminated. So this is a bigger plan, but that's what he's a part of. If you really listen to him carefully, he's very strategic in his words when he says, we are going to do this. We are going to do this. He never talks about how it's going to affect the actual citizens of this country. That's why he said residents and not citizens. And the gentleman yelled out in the background and said, you mean the citizens, right?
Exactly.
Right, citizen, you're here legally, and you are covered under the Constitution.
Exactly.
Within our republic, and he's totally gotten away from that.
Well, this is the thing. Now that, and I'm sure the oversight committee they're prepared for him, because he has broken federal law. And with the clip we just played, he openly, knowingly broken federal law. It's unequivocally shown here that he knows that the federal law is in place, but he is trying to hang on to this city ordinance, this ordinance that cannot stand against federal law.
No. The only time people can push back against federal law is if it's harming the citizens. And in this instance, him not following federal law is harming the citizens of this country.
It is. It really
Plain
is,
and
because
simple. But like I said, that's why he was using that wordplay of residents.
Yes,
Our
residents, exactly.
So the residents are more important than the citizens. So the people that are here illegally are more important than the citizens of this country. At least we know where you stand. I'm just saying. At least we know where you stand.
And it's good. It's good that the Black community continue to see this type of leadership. See, this is the leadership that we've been talking about for years on this show. I've been telling Black folks that it's our leadership that is destroying us. You can't sit back and say, oh, well, it's the white guy that's doing all of this. We see that these are Black aldermen, Mexican aldermen. We see that Brandon Johnson is a Black man, supposed to be. I don't know what this point on top is here, but anyway, what that means. But the fact of the matter is, this is poor leadership. And this is the type of leadership in all the major cities, all the Democratic states. And Black folks, I don't see how you can continue after we've seen exactly what mayors like Brandon Johnson has done. He has brought people in. He doesn't even respect the citizens who put him in office. They're paying his salary. They're allowing him to live better than he ever lived before. Couldn't pay his water bill and all the other bills, and now he got a few dollars, and he just gone starve, raving mad, and forgot that the citizens are the ones who put him into office. So now
he's not mad. He's just following the people that put money in his pocket.
Exactly, and that's the most saddest thing. Doc, now he's in D.C. What are your thoughts on this now? Because see, I think, to me, this is my opinion, and this is what I see happening tomorrow. Brandon Johnson is going to walk into, he is going into war zone. He's going into the war zone right now, because there's no way that he can explain why he has taken federal dollars from the U.S. citizens, taxpayers, and gave them to an illegal venture and justify it with a city on this. How do you think this is going to turn out for him, Doc?
It's going to be bad because there's going to have to be a lot of House representatives. I'm not sure if he's appearing before the House or the Senate. That's the thing. But either way, they're going to have to figure out wordplay to protect and defend him, because he's a Democrat, right? But by doing so, you're going to completely show that you are against the American public, which most of the American public already realizes. That's why people voted overwhelmingly for Trump, and in some states overwhelmingly for the Republican Party to be back in control of the House and the Senate. But you're really going to have to sit there and admit that you're a part of this and you sided with it. So I don't know how you, as a sitting Democrat right now, as a House member or as a Senate member, really is able to justify what you've done to the American public. And you're going to have to. You know what I'm saying? Because if you don't, then you're going to look like a Republican, right? You're going to say, well, you know, Miss Franny, you shouldn't have spent the money on these people. You should have focused on the citizens. You can't say that. They're all in. Like they're beyond backed into a corner. Beyond.
Well, you know, and just like we played that clip, he has openly stated that he don't give a damn about the taxpayers, because he wouldn't say he represents the citizens, but residents. I mean, these are the type of things that the people of Chicago need to pay close attention to. These are the things that we're going to recall Brandon because, you know, I want to send a shout out to Dan Bolin. He's a real activist here in Chicago. And Mr. Bolin was the man who, when Brandon said, it's some white guy from the south suburbs want to recall me. Well, Mr. Bolin is a true Chicagoan for over 30 years. And Mr. Bolin started Recall the Mayor. You can look it up on the internet, Recall the Mayor. Sign the petitions. We got quite a few signed because we're pushing and we're trying to get some legislation through to where J.B. Pritzker can sign off on it and make it possible that those in political position can be recalled without a lot of consternation. And so, Mr. Bolin, I want you to stay positive and let us continue to get those signatures so we can get him out of here at the next election, besides me taking the spot. But, you know, we have to keep the pressure on. Now, this is what I see. I see Brandon Johnson being there with the fact of the matter that they have a lawsuit already, Doc. DOJ got a lawsuit already, right? Yeah. So check this out. This is what Brandon is up against. And I know he gonna watch the show tonight before you go tomorrow, and I'm gonna tell you what's gonna happen. Your ass is grass.
I mean, like I said, where do you have to go? What do you really say about what you've done to the citizens of Chicago?
I mean, he has no justification for doling out billions of dollars to illegals and not even fixing not even the streets here in the city of Chicago. There has not been street improvements. There have been no improvements in the city at all. All the dollars have gone toward the illegal migrants. And we have to ask ourselves, are we ready to continue with this type of leadership? J.B. Pritzker.
He was directed to by the Biden administration to do it. So that's what I'm saying. Like
in the Obama administration.
Okay. What do they call it? Biden.
Okay. Biden, yeah, the old Biden administration.
But to that point, they were directed to do this.
Yes.
So again, like I'm saying, when he testifies, he's going to have to admit that there was somebody in the Democratic Party pushing him to actually do this, because if he doesn't, it all falls on him. So like I said, either way, it's bad, but he's going to out somebody in the Democratic Party. He has to.
Well, you know what? This was the most important thing, and I think this was a backbreaker because I've seen some Democratic leadership. I've seen some NGO organizations who were boasting about getting the money, the Divine Nine. They were running around boasting about getting all this money and making a fool out of everybody and doing what they wanted to do. But when they froze that money here in Chicago and in the state, when they froze the federal funding, they went in and got all the receipts, the actual files. That's why Maxine Waters is sick. Talking about, we don't know what he got against us. They already, Brandon, you watched the show tonight, and I'm telling you, they already got your files and records. They got your files, they got your records. So if your dumb butt went into the system and you changed something, you still ain't got the federal funding, because when they froze that, they took your records. If you changed that, if you've gotten in there and you've changed any of those records, my friend, you're going to get caught lying and committing fraud to the Oversight Committee. There's already a lawsuit against you with the DOJ. That information will be transferred to DOJ, and there will be warrants issued for your arrest. What are your thoughts on that, Doc? Because he's going to have to go. If he's going to be found guilty of abusing federal law, and once he is found guilty of that at this Oversight Committee, it's going straight to the Justice Department, and they can arrest him for that because it clearly shows he has broken the law, Doc.
Yeah, and Pam Bondi has already set up Illinois for that. They're just waiting for the testimony.
Yes.
Paperwork's already filed. The submission for like that locker room that they keep talking about, they have all these expensive gifts and everything. All of those things have already been submitted to the DOJ because the lawsuit's already, in place and it's moving forward. So like I said, it's just going to be interesting who he points the finger at, because he's got to, if he doesn't point the finger at anybody, he goes down.
He goes down.
And blame himself. It's like, you didn't do this by yourself.
Exactly.
Somebody got you to do this, and it points back to the Biden administration because they were encouraging this behavior. They set aside $12 billion in the Appropriations Act of 2021 for just unaccompanied minor aliens, which is child trafficking. When you hear those words,
Yes.
unaccompanied minors, and you hear them with the heartstring stories, oh, this 2-year-old needs an attorney. Why does a 2-year-old need an attorney? Where are their parents? And why aren't you sending this child back to their country of origin? Because
Yes.
that's what you should be doing. There should be the only thing the attorney should be doing is making sure that the child gets back home, not stays here. And then you get this bleeding heart story. Why are they here?
Yes.
Oh, that's right. You set aside $12 billion to facilitate this. So this
Well,
child may end up with a pedophile at the end of the day because of that $12 billion you set aside. It's
and
very horrible what's happened.
and then you know what, too, Doc? That's the reason why it was smart for Elon Musk to be able to start freezing these
Accounts.
DEI programs, because we can see that the DEI program was specifically made for white women and CEOs, and everybody else, and Black people were always considered last. But it was a good vehicle that the DEI was being used for, was to promote the LGBT crowd.
Yeah.
See, that was how that they got infiltrated in the army. They got infiltrated in the schools through DEI programs where you didn't have to be educated, because we got a lot of people into the school system that are not even educated teachers. They was brought in under DEI, and these fools were teaching our children about homosexuality and everything else without a degree.
Yeah, they're just being indoctrinated, not educated.
Yes, and so you know, we really, now that we have President Trump in office, and some people want to call it a revolution, but it's not a revolution. It's a renormalization, is what it is, because we were doing just fine with the way our founding fathers created this country. Everybody's liberties was intact, even though we have not been a perfect country. But this is the only country I know of that you can come to and be poor one day and be rich as hell the next day. I don't know any other country that you can, because of the capitalism, you can come here and make something out of yourself.
But just doing it the right way. And that's what I need individuals that are listening to understand. You know, immigration, we do have an immigration process. Is it broken? Yes, it is. Can it be fixed? Yes, it can. But it's up to us to get off the couch and make sure that we are working with our legislature to make sure that we have a proper immigration system. Like Tom Homan keeps saying, there are ports of entry that are legal, but when you're flying people in, that's not legal. When you're allowing them to just cross over the border illegally, that's not following our laws. And people that don't follow our laws, what do you think? Do you think they're going to be respectable citizens? No, they're not. They're going to disrespect this country any way that they can. In my opinion, they've completely disrespected this country, because I've seen nothing but other flags being flown everywhere like they have a right to do. It's like, well, yeah, I'm going to wave my flag from my other country. You need to go home.
You need to go home.
You need to go back to that country where you're so proud of waving that flag, because what you're not going to be is here getting resources here.
Yes.
Okay. Go back to your country. And then people will say, well, we don't want to go back. No.
And then, you know,
thought about it.
And you know what? You know, I saw that in Inglewood where I grew up, and I actually, you know, I told the dude, take the flag down. Because if he loved the country so much, then he need to fly it in his own country and not in my neighborhood.
I've seen it here in Georgia, seeing cars flown by and seeing these flags. I'm like, oh, you need to go home.
You need to go home.
Go home.
If you love your country that much, what you doing here? What you doing here? If you go to another place and then you representing your country in a new place, and you left there because you couldn't have no economics or no future, what's the point?
Right.
You should be an American.
Yeah, we can go to Afghanistan and wave the flag and get ran down.
And shot or killed. Exactly.
We'll get ran down. Okay, that's how they handle it over there. That's why you don't see a whole bunch of people over there waving the American flag. Even their people don't do that.
But
Okay.
you know what, Doc, and saying that, now I got another clip I want to play, but I just think right now Brandon should be worried senseless. He should be really worried about what has happened and what's going to transpire. And they're saying that, let me drop this other clip to the citizens of Chicago. It's showtime.
Years of radical and corrupt establishment fails to protect our magnificent, law-abiding American citizens, but provides sanctuary and protection for dangerous criminals.
Pushback in the sanctuary city of Boston. Mayor Michelle Wu says the city will not cooperate with his plan for mass deportation.
Police agents in Massachusetts arresting 2 illegal immigrants facing sex crimes against children in 2 separate instances.
Illegal alien from Haiti, the gang member with 17 criminal convictions.
Trump, you feel me? Will Biden forever, bro. Thank Obama for everything that he did for me, bro.
The goal of the Trump administration is to get us to surrender our humanity.
To Mayor Brandon Johnson continue to reinforce his sanctuary city status to fight back against President Donald Trump's immigration policies.
So this is an example of sanctuary cities, right? You got an illegal alien convicted of sex crimes involving children, and he's walking the streets of Chicago.
We are compassionate people, so we're doing everything in our power to demonstrate compassion.
Lighting a sleeping woman on fire on a New York subway and then fanning the flames. 33-year-old Guatemalan citizen entered the United States illegally not once but twice.
Denver Mayor Mike Johnson is suggesting he would use Denver police to block federal officials from carrying out mass deportation efforts.
Some say the mayor's comments went too far. They even accuse him of trying to start a civil war.
Castle Rock Town councilman says Denver has had trouble housing newcomers, and they're spilling over into neighboring communities.
This isn't just a decision that Denver gets to make. It's impacting the rest of the Front Range.
Gang violence at an apartment complex in Aurora. We're entering an apartment building with several weapons, then busting down a door of the apartments, which have become a crime hotspot.
Nonprofits have lined up to help the migrants that have come here, but nobody is helping the American citizens that are trapped in these apartment complexes.
Breaking news tonight, the city of Chicago now being investigated for sanctuary city status. Mayor Brandon Johnson receiving a letter from Washington, D.C.
Chicago, Denver, Boston, and New York, all of which are sanctuary cities, are now under investigation by the Committee on Oversight and Government Reform.
Sanctuary cities going to get exactly what they don't want. More agents in the communities, more people arrested, more collaterals arrested. So that's a game they want to play. Game on. Game on.
So we're going to bring the mayors in. We're going to let them explain what their policies are, see if they can answer some questions as to who's paying for this, who's been in charge of this, what role has their local government played, was the federal government involved. If they're going to continue to disobey the law, then I think we should cut as much of their federal funding as we can cut.
Wow. Wow. Okay. So with him saying that, he said, I'm just like, wow, because he said, we're going to find out who directed them to do this, whether they were at the state level or the federal level.
Yes.
Now that, I don't eat popcorn, but I'm going to have to figure something out, because this is going to be some good television right here, because I want to know, the American people want to know, who persuaded you so heavily to do this, where you were violating federal law that had already had precedent, even though the current administration was like, yes, you need to do this. As a state, you should have said, hey, we already have standing federal law that says we shouldn't even be doing this. Our citizens are suffering. What are you doing, federal government? Because there were states that pushed back, like Florida. They pushed back. Texas pushed back.
But the thing that really bothers me, and this is why I say this is an evil spirit that's in Brandon Johnson. How could you even think about helping people illegally and not help the citizens who voted you into office? That's what I'm not getting. And to the people here in Chicago and across the country, this is the spiritual war. This is what we're not looking at. This is pure evil. Look at all the crimes that the illegal brought to our country. Looking at the people who have died the lady down in Georgia who was killed going for a run. You got kids being kidnapped, sodomized. You got trafficking, child trafficking, organ trafficking. All of that was brought to our country through the borders under the Biden administration, the old Obama Biden administration. And yet I still don't understand how anybody could vote $10 gallon of gas, $15 for eggs, milk costs you about $7 a gallon. I mean, our economy under the past 4 years was just gone crazy to the tune of $36 trillion. How could any American citizens, to the American people and patriots across this country, how could any of us vote for that type of administration and justify it when we see people like Brandon Johnson and Mayor Wu and Mayor Eric Adams and all the rest of them who are defending their position to house illegals and break federal law, Doc?
Yeah. Well, like I said, because they were encouraged by the federal government to do it. Like I said, all you have to do is go back to the Appropriations Act of 2021. It is all there. It is all outlined. Like I said, I just found one part with unaccompanied minor aliens. There's over $300 billion.
So you said,
and this is from the Inflation Reduction Act. Yes. This all happened. This all happened.
See, that's why to the American people and patriots across this country, that's the reason why the news agencies like Real America Voices, all of them, it is important that we start to look at these channels, let the truth be told, because you're going to get the truth. We're trying to save this country. And the American people have already spoken. So you would think that people like Brandon Johnson and these other mayors who are the citizens are saying, we don't want this anymore. We don't want this lifestyle. We don't want indoctrination in our schools. We don't want our economy upside down. We don't want to have 2 wars. Listen, how is it that President Trump has been in 6 weeks?
Yeah.
How is it in 6 weeks he has turned this country around? Prices are going down. The respect across the world is being brought back to the norm. He is really renormalizing the United States. So don't let people tell you this is a revolution. It is not a revolution. It's a renormalizing. Because see, we was already where what we are returning to now. We were already there before the Barack Obama era and the woke culture started to invade us and indoctrinate us. Doc?
Yeah, I mean, you're so right. A lot of the policies under the Obama administration pretty much, it opened the door, but then when Biden got in office, it literally kicked the door down.
It really did.
Because of the DEI, should I say it, the DEI formation that they were in, how it affected school, job, housing, grant, contract that were received. I literally saw grants that said, if you are with the LGBTQ crowd or whatever, you can get a grant. That made no sense to me. Why would my sexual preference have anything to do with my qualification to get a grant to help somebody if they were homeless or if they needed further education in an area or even, job assistance? What does my sexuality have to do with helping anybody? And that's what we really need to go back to with all of these laws put in place for the LGBTQ plus 2S community. Why are we capitulating for someone's preference sexually as like it's a civil right? It's not a civil right. It is your choice.
It really is.
But it is not a civil right. Okay. And all of these laws need to be overturned because they are violating everybody else's laws, because it's saying you have to believe something that isn't true. That word believe holds great weight because then that makes it a religion when it is a belief. and we have freedom of religion in this country, but the laws that they have put in place force you to believe something even if it isn't true, which makes it a religion and it's a cult. And we have to stand up as a country and as the citizens of the United States and say no more. We're not doing that. We're not going there. And this is how these mayors were captured. They were captured
Yes.
under DI. They were captured under all of these laws put in place for the LGBTQ plus community. Because then they were like, hey, we're going to throw in all of these illegal immigrants that need to come in because we need to get our voter base up because everybody else is leaving our party because they don't want to be a part of it. So we got to throw other people in here so we don't lose control of the party. That's the only reason people are here. They are being used, they're being abused, they're being trafficked, their children are being abused and trafficked and murdered. This is bad.
It is.
This is bad. And I'm glad that all of the mayors are going to be there all at once, to be quite honest.
Well, they need to be there and they need to be held accountable for what they've done. Even to this very moment, Tom Homan talked about, game on, and the game is on because federal law trumps any ordinance or trump any state law. And so they already know that. So this is what I like about this oversight committee. See, Brandon, they already know that you're an idiot and you're following instructions. They want to know who's behind it.
Right.
I can almost tell you it's Biden, Obama's, the Clintons, the Soroses. They're behind this. They're behind this whole culture thing, this whole woke thing. You remember when Joe Biden gave Hillary Clinton some medal of valor and honor and gave one to George Soros and all of them? See, that's the whole thing that America has seen. The American people have seen the corruption of the Democratic Party. They've seen the lies. Only those people who will continue to vote for the Democrats are those who want to stay with the Stockholm Syndrome. And if you don't know what Stockholm Syndrome is, it was the Jews who had been in captivity so long in the concentration camps that they started to live into that sorrow and they started to be nice to their captors who was killing them. That sounds just like black folks, don't it?
Well, you start to love your abuser. And that's just an abusive relationship. And unfortunately, we are in an abusive relationship with our government. And President Trump is trying to change that and say, hey, we need to get back to taking care of our citizens. And the unfortunate part is we still have members of Congress that are fighting that. We still have members of Congress that don't want what's best for the American people. They want people to have sanctuary cities. They want people to be in debt. They want people to have a lesser life. And it is amazing to me. I mean, I'm sure everybody's heard, Jasmine Crockett say, we're not in the business of lending money. And I don't know what $5,000 would do for you. It was those two statements right there that let me know you don't care about the American people.
No.
You do not care.
You're talking about that. This is the reason why I say the grassroots people need to really get involved with politics. Because you got people like Jasmine Crockett who are sitting in our Congress trying to promote legislation, not to help the American people, but to go against the Republicans.
That's all it is. She voted to keep men and women's sports in Texas.
And every Democrat did vote to keep men and women's sports. See, that's why they were able to push the woke agenda, because when they had the Congress and the Senate, and the president, they did whatever they wanted to do.
Right.
And that's the reason why we went through all of these changes, because it was the Democratic Party. It was the Democratic Party that destroyed Black Wall Street. It was the Democratic Party that created the Ku Klux Klan. It has been a Democratic Party who killed presidents and killed thousands and thousands of Black people. And it's the Democratic Party now that have pushed this LGBT agenda, this woke culture, taking taxpayer dollars, making sex changes, giving money to other people because they had, under the Stacey Abrams thing, we're going to do a recap on it probably Thursday. But under the Stacey Abrams thing, not only has she got bars of gold that she done stole, but the fact of the matter is that she have given millions of dollars to the LGBT group out of that $2 billion by creating all different sorts of organizations and sending money to them and then getting money back to themselves. See, because that's what we're finding out. That's why the Democrats don't want this Doge, is because now the money is traceable, because any federal dollars that have been spent start with paperwork, and that paperwork has to be put through the system and somebody has to okay it. That's why he fired all those attorney generals out that office, because they overlooked a lot of stuff that went through the military that should have been saying, hold up, wait a minute, let this stop now, and we need to investigate. And so he is draining the swamp. Doc, we getting close to that time. Tell our listeners a little about tomorrow, the speech. What is that, tonight?
Tonight, President Trump will be giving his first State of the Union address since re-entering office. It's going to be 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central, and 6 p.m. Pacific. And the theme of his speech will be the renewal of the American dream. And that's what he's trying to do. But there's a lot of things he has to get done first. The first thing he has to get done is he had to get the illegal criminals, the most violent of them, out of the country so people could, breathe a little bit of a relief. You already have crime, but they were making it far worse. Now the next phase is getting people out of the country that are here illegally. And it'd be better if they go and not be deported, because if you're deported, then it's a crime where you can't even think about reentry, right?
Exactly.
But if you self-deport now, and they've been encouraging people to self-identify and self-deport so that there is a better path to citizenship here, legally, right? Because the Black community, if anybody suffered the worst from all of these sanctuary cities, is the Black community. And that's why I stand up and fight for reparations. I had people on my TikTok going, you're greedy, you're this or that. I'm like, no, reparations is to build up our community that has been torn down. We need businesses in the Black community so we can recycle dollars in the Black community. And we need reparations to do that. Donald Trump has a 10-point plan that he came up with in 2020, and it's viable. And it is a pathway to reparations to restore the Black community. And that is one of his agenda goals. And it happens with us setting the agenda and bringing it to him.
Doc, thank you so much. And we'll be talking about that. Watch the show tonight and share it around. Blessings. Talk to you soon. Folks, I want to thank you for tuning in to the show. It's always a great chance to get some good news with us. We're gonna do the receipts. We're gonna find out what's actually going on, because we want the truth to be told. And folks, these are my last words. I want the American people and patriots across this country to pay close attention to the speech that President Trump is going to give. This is a grand time. It's a different feel in America. For the past 4 years, we've had a cloud hanging over this country. It has been totally darkness, and everything seemed to have gone wrong with the wars, with the economy, with all the lying that changes, the attack on our family structure, the attack on our children. So listen to this speech tonight, because America, it's time for us to be renormalized, to get back to the things we like to do, the freedom of speech, of religion, to go where we want, not to be restricted, to say what we need to say and not be told to say. That's what makes this country great. Let us be very, very attentive tonight and hear what the president got to say. God bless y'all. We'll be checking it out. Y'all come on in tomorrow, and we'll see you then. Let the truth be told. Let the truth be told. I'd rather the truth come from you. Enjoy the evening.